sometimes I actually go outside and kind of sit out in nature and ponder things like, why does the golden ratio pop up so often? And how can I use it with my dual delay times to get better guitar tones? Well, I'm going to show you how to do it in your Axe-Fx right now. Okay, here's my clean sound to get started. PRS SC245. Straight into my Axe-Fx, I'm using this JP2C Plus Green, which is the new clean channel of the John Petrucci Signature Mark Series amp with this 2x12 mix IR I made on the neck pickup. Okay, I think that sounds nice and clean. So one common trick for getting these golden ratio delays is to use the relationship between the Fibonacci sequence and the golden ratio. Roughly, there's several Fibonacci pairs which, when you divide one by the other, gets you very close to the value of the golden ratio. But we can do this in a far more precise way on the Axe-Fx as so. Let's choose any stereo delay type. I'm going to go with the stereo BBD because I really like the way this one sounds. And the golden ratio, I think it's 1.618 to 3 decimal places, but it has this really cool feature where if you take the reciprocal of that number, so instead of 1.618, you go 1 divided by 1.618, it's the same as just subtracting 1. So the reciprocal of the golden ratio is 0.618. And as a percentage, we can just slap this straight in, 61.8%. And what this does is it means we can adjust the bass delay time here, and this left-right time ratio is immediately going to keep them in that golden ratio, which is really nice. So this has the advantage over using Fibonacci values, that your Fibonacci values are always going to be set ratios, whereas with this one, I mean, you could sync this up to the tempo of the song, or you could dial in a really long delay time if you want to, or a really short delay time. So what I'll do, I'll start with this somewhere around 200 milliseconds, and I'll bring the mix up a little bit so we can hear it a bit clearer. And yeah, it's just a really lovely, rich, natural sounding delay. And that, to me, is the easy way to get these golden ratio delays in your Axe-Fx. The nice thing as well is using a stereo delay type means if I want more or less feedback, it will scale the feedback of the left and right sides to give you an equal decay time. So I think that's super duper handy. Adding modulation to this as well is really, really awesome as well. I mean, you could use 2 mod rates that are also in the golden ratio if you wanted to get super nerdy. But yeah, it's just a really pleasant sound. I think the reason that it's so appealing is there's obviously sort of the distinct link between the golden ratio and several physical properties of rooms and reflections and things like that. But this doesn't really conform to a particular rhythmic value. You know, if we set the left-right time ratio to be 75%, that would be like a quarter note to dotted eighth note kind of thing. If it was 66%, well, 2/3, then you'd have a triplet value. This 61.8% is like, it's not very distinct. So I think that's the reason that we interpret it as being a very kind of natural sound. And it sounds a lot more like a reverb than anything else. One awesome thing that you can do with this, if you want it to sound a bit verbier, is to use a diffusion parameter. So if I turn the diffusion up to about 50%, this is what we get with the same delay times. which I think sounds really nice as well. So you can play around with that diffusion parameter, you can play around with the modulation. So that is the quick and easy way to get golden ratio delays in your Axe effects. You can also extend this and use something like the multi-delay block and use that, 61.8% rule to get your delays happening. I've actually pre-prepared a block in the multi-delay block that I have called phi delays. Essentially what I've done here is scale each of these times by that ratio of 1.618. And this one sounds awesome with the quad tap delay. So it sounds awesome for ambient stuff like that as well. Whether this is going to help you realign your third eye or normalize your chakras is highly, highly unlikely and debatable, but that's a topic for another time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video on golden ratio delays in your Axe FX3. I will see you all next time.